Good morning, good morning. I'm not gonna sing anymore because I forget the words. Alrighty, nobody's watching yet, but eventually they will. Gotta wait for a couple of people to show up, right? You know? Where did I put my bag? Ah, there it is. My Windows stuff. Hello, one person who's watching. Would you be able to kindly identify yourself? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's alright. Once we have like 2 viewers, we'll get started. I usually do these live streams at some ungodly hour. Oh, there we have 2. Yeah, I usually do these live streams at some ungodly hour of the morning, at least where I live. So most people don't watch them. Hi, King Zero. I've seen you on some of my other live streams. Now we got 3. Alright. Oh, we got 4. Nice, nice. Always like getting 5. Okay. Sweet. We gonna get 6? We make it to 6? Let's make it to 6. If we get to... Oh, we got a like. Someone liked my live stream. Yeah, late night ThinkPads. More late night ThinkPad shenanigans. Gotta keep it a little bit quiet. Oh, hey, Sammy. What's up? It's the imperishable Sammy Zenith himself. And we're up to 6 viewers, so I think we'll get started here. Yeah, it's pretty late. It's like almost 2 in the morning where I am. We're doing a laptop video today, or a laptop live stream. I have 2 identical laptops here. One of them I'm actually using to power the phone, which is being used for this live stream. Let's get the cord out of the way. These are both the Lenovo ThinkPad T440ps. Excellent laptops, except they have this god-awful clunk pad. It's not very good. It feels terrible, it's not very accurate, and if you use the track point like me, it's a nightmare. So we are going to be replacing that with a T450 touchpad. We're going to be doing some other upgrades too. We're going to be upgrading the screen. Yeah, we're not core booting them. Sorry, buddy. Not today. And this laptop I'm actually selling to somebody, and he's just going to run Windows on it. He barely knows how to use a computer, so I want to get this all set up for him. And he's going to stick to Windows, because he barely knows how to use that, let alone some Linux stuff. And he won't notice or care about the difference with core booting. But we're going to be upgrading the touchpad to a T450 touchpad, because as you can see, this has the clunk pad, which sucks. This has the T450 touchpad, which does not suck. We'll be upgrading the keyboard. This laptop has a backlit keyboard, as you can see, which is very nice, and my friend wants it. And we're also going to be upgrading the display. This has, by default, I think it just has the standard 1366, 768 glow display. This has a nice IPS display, full HD, 1080p. So we are going to be upgrading this in that sense. We also have a 240 gig solid state drive we're going to be putting in. I don't think there's any hard drive in there. And we are going to be putting in 8 gigabytes of RAM, because that should be enough for his needs. And if he ever needs the upgrade, he lives right down the street from me at school, so that makes for a pretty easy upgrade. This doesn't have a processor in it, so I am taking the processor from this donor board. This is from a broken T440p. There's some type of logic board problem. So we will be sacrificing its processor to put one in here. Why this doesn't have one, I don't know. Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm going to be installing every ThinkPad driver. I'm going to be installing the T450 touchpad driver like I just did a video about. And I'm going to be modifying the Windows files so it doesn't automatically update. But yeah, this ThinkPad T440p, I kind of won with the eBay lottery. This T440p is in almost immaculate condition. Like, there are no signs of wear on this thing. Like, even the corners haven't really worn out at all. Like, there's no scratches or scuffs or anything on this that can be seen. It's in really nice shape. But yeah, it does look brand new. And, like, even on the screws here, like, these screws are still shiny. They still look deep black. Like, compared to my T440p, this thing's in pretty good shape, but, like, you can see some of the scratches and scuffs on it. The There's some wear in the corners. Part of the fan grill sadly broke off. And then on the bottom here, the screw is not a deep black and it's not really shiny anymore. So, yeah. The only upgrade we won't be doing is with the battery. I have an extended life battery, and he will have the standard 6-cell battery. But that should be more than enough for him. It'll still be more battery life than his current laptop. He's got an HP... I don't even know what it is. It's some type of HP laptop. It's horrible. It's extremely slow. It's about 5 years old, and it has a Celeron processor. Celeron processors still are not good processors, and a 5-year-old Celeron processor definitely is not good. So that thing is horrible. And like, it has a hard drive, and it only has 4 gigs of RAM, so I could upgrade those to an SSD and some better storage. But the thing's falling apart. Like, literally, it's falling apart. So we're going to get a nice new computer. He is paying for this, but I did give him a little bit of the friend discount because, well, we're broke college students. We don't have a lot of money, and we try to help each other out when we can. I am still making a profit off of this, and I'll make a couple cents from this live stream, so it's not like I'm losing money on this, but I did give him a bit of a discount because I don't want to bankrupt him. So let's get this thing apart. Actually, get my T440p opened up. I will be referencing the T440p hardware hardware maintenance manual, also known as the service manual. Can't really see it because of how this is positioned, but I will be referring to it every now and then because I don't entirely trust myself on some of the screws. And okay, so I bought a brand new display from eBay. It is a 1080p IPS display for a 14-inch laptop, but it is a bit of a gamble because it's like just a generic eBay seller. But it is an IPS display, and it is a 14-inch, and it has a 30-pin connector, so it should work. And some people are very specific about what display they put into these. My friend does not really care. He just wants an upgrade from what he has now. So him and I both agreed that the difference in quality on some of the better displays is not enough to justify the sometimes $30 to $40 price difference. He will be keeping the i5 processor. It's going to be a 4300M. I could upgrade it to an i7, but he didn't really feel like paying the extra money for that, and I didn't really feel like paying the extra money for that, so we're just not going to upgrade that. And now I'm struggling to get this box open because I'm opening it the wrong way. So that's the deal with the display. Now for the keyboard and touchpad, he did want the backlit keyboard. This currently does not have the backlit keyboard. And he wanted the T450 touchpad. So he will be using the touchpad. He will not be using the track point, but he liked the feel of the T450 touchpad better. And I was able to get both for very cheap. Here's a little tip for you guys that buy stuff off of eBay. If you want to upgrade both the keyboard and touchpad in your T440p or T440 or T440S, just get a T450 or T450S palm rest. Because sometimes, depending on who you buy it from, it will actually be cheaper, it will actually be cheaper than buying both parts separately. And you have an extra palm rest that you can do nothing with, or save it for whenever you get a T450 or T450S. There we go. Okay. So here we have a T450S palm rest. And this is in pretty much brand new condition. There's a little bit of wear on the shift key, there's a little bit of wear on the space bar, but it's otherwise brand new. And the touchpad, okay, we have a little bit of wear on the buttons, but it's otherwise brand new. And this is a T450S palm rest, so it's actually the nicer glass touchpad. I do think this feels a little bit nicer than the standard T450 touchpad, which is just plastic. This does look like it has a little bit of wear to it, or like maybe the adhesive layers are starting to peel, I don't know. But as long as it works, I don't care too much. And then I have a spare T450S palm rest assembly for if I ever need it for something. So put that off to the side for whenever we need it. And I'm gonna read some comments. Really should have gotten a T440p instead of a T430. No, the T430 is a very nice machine, and most of the upgrades I'll be doing to this, you can do to that. Be careful with the bezel and the palm rest. Mine broke during the snap ring. W540 or W430. Followed a guide on Reddit. T440p is all the rage. There's a whole T430 mod guide. Yeah, I really want to do that. I love the T430. And yeah, so I guess we should get started. So I've already turned the machine off and disconnected the battery, and since we are replacing the display, that will be very important, but that will be one of the very last things we do. I want to get everything else in here first. Oopsies, and I just put that, there we go. I want to get everything in here first and at least get it running, and then we will worry about upgrading the display. So, just got our 2 screws here. Viewing this might be a little bit awkward because where the camera is, and this doesn't have a zoom, I don't have a secondary camera. Oh, that came off so nice and easily. Like, usually it's a struggle, but that came off no problem. That's nice. And whoever sold this did include the palm rest, or not palm rest, the drive caddy. So that's there, and we'll worry about that a little later. I think the first order of business will be getting the keyboard and touchpad installed. Touchpad's going to be the hardest part of this whole thing because we have to take off the palm rest, but that's okay. Whoopsies. Give me a second here. Okay, there we go. So now we have to get the keyboard out. So, easiest way to do that is to just don't use your fingernails. Or maybe, depends on how good your fingers are. Okay, screw that. We are going to get now ideally for this you'd want to use like a plastic spudger or something, but I don't have one on hand. I thought I did, but I don't. So just get like a flat tip screwdriver and just gently push up. Oh shit, don't do that. Thank God this is the old keyboard. Push up. Don't let the function key get stuck. Got the one up. Okay, now we want to get a smaller bit. There's 6 screws in here. You just loosen them. They're captive screws, so you don't have to worry about them popping out. Generally, when you hear that click, like listen here as I unscrew, there's a little bit of a click there. When you hear and feel that click, that's when the screw is out. Like that. So there's 6 of these. They're under the Control S, F, J, colon, and up arrow keys. Okay. And then sometimes it takes a little bit of finagling, but you just get it out like that. Then there's this rubber piece here. This can be a bit of a pain. It's held in by adhesive, so you unadhesive it. This helps keep the water out of this connection area. And you just lift up and release this connector. Sometimes there's tape under here. In this case, there is. So we're going to get the tape off, maybe. Ah, there we go. I don't know why tape is only on one of the connectors, but whatever. Get that off, and keyboard is off. Hooray! And I'll just put the tape back on there for now. Yeah, we'll just do that. And then while we're at it, we will also get the touchpad cable disconnected, just so it's one less thing to worry about later. Alright, now that's disconnected. put this keyboard off to the side. Now we go back under here, and we have to take some stuff out. So first we have to get the optical drive removed. So to do that, we just loosen this screw. It's also a captive screw, so it won't come out. And then we just push on the optical drive, and it comes out. And there she is. And then we're going to get 4 of these smaller screws. There's 3 up here, and there's 1 in here. So these are smaller, shorter screws. They're only 3 millimeters, I think. They're shorter, they're smaller. And this is a non-magnetic screwdriver, so I have to do the annoying thing where I literally, like, flip this over and hope I get the screw, which in that case I got lucky, and I did. And so, like, you can see it here. Let me just hold it up to the camera. I want a 15-inch now. Should I get a W540 or T440p? Both are the exact same machine, but the W540 will have beefier processors, beefier graphics, and it will have Thunderbolt support. See, that's a small screw. And then there are 3 more screws along the top here, underneath where the battery would go. And we take those out. I think the service manual for this machine mistakenly labels one of the screws as a different size screw, so you kind of have to be careful with that. And that actually damaged the palm rest on my personal T440p. Yeah, the W540 and the T440p are very similar machines. They have the same chassis, I believe. But the W540 has beefier graphics, faster processor options, takes up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. I think the T440p or T540p is limited to 16 gigabytes of RAM. And the W540 has Thunderbolt support, and the T540p does not. So yeah, those 4 screws, the 1 underneath the optical drive and then the 3 along the top are small, smaller screws. And then you get a screw here, get a screw here, down here, over here, over here, over here, up here. Those are larger screws, you get those out, which we will do right now. And again, I'm probably going to have to do the thing where I loosen the screw and then put my hand over the screw hole and flip the machine over and get it out. Because my screwdriver is not magnetic. This entire set of bits is not magnetic, and that's a huge annoyance, but I don't care that much. Now that screw's being annoying. It does not want to come out. Why don't you want to come out, buddy? We're going to get you out eventually. I think I just found out why. This machine has been apart before, and whoever put this together, one of the wireless cables is screwed in under this screw, which it should not be. And that is causing our screwdriver, or our screw, I should say, to get stuck. See, this machine's in immaculate condition, but it obviously has not been apart before, and because of that, we're having trouble. Or it obviously has been apart before, someone's been in here. So, I'm going to try and do this little trick where I get a flat tip screwdriver down in there and try to finagle the screw out. And then also sometimes if we like kind of, that might do the trick if I just like, okay, that's interesting. The palm rest is coming up, but the screw won't come out. We'll worry about that later. We'll get these other screws out, because these are going to be annoying. These smaller screws on the bottom are a little easier to get out, but again, don't have a magnetic screwdriver, which makes things a lot harder. Laptop repair tips 101. get a magnetic screwdriver, you will thank me later. I'm sorry that I'm not really reading your comments. I should like load the comments on my laptop here so I can kind of read them without having to look up at the phone. But this will work. This will be fine. I'll take a break in a little bit and look at them. Any college students watching right now, other than Sammy, classic Sonic fan? Because if you are in college or university, you probably know the struggle right now that is finals week, or you are rapidly approaching finals week. I know a couple schools don't have it till next week, and I'm like, whoa, you guys are crazy. Finals week, the week before Christmas, that's crazy. Yeah, because when I got this unit, I did notice that the palm rest was a little bit out of place. Alright, and then this ribbon cable right here, right where it says MB, that is for the finals be clapping my cheeks. Yeah, I agree. This little bit right here, this is for the fingerprint reader. If you do not have a fingerprint reader on your model, this cable will not be here. The connector is still there, but the cable is not, will not be there. So we're gonna, I think this, okay, hello. So you pull up on that, and then you just release it. This way we don't tear the cable when we get the palm rest off. And here's the other thing I want to say. Why isn't that one screw coming out? This is very unusual. I don't know why the screw does not want to come out. It actually might. It's disconnected from the palm rest, but it is still kind of stuck in there. Okay, so this little bit here came out like right away with no problem, but the rest is. See, this is so weird. Like some of it came out very easily, and some of it is not being easy. It's like my, oh, there we go. Okay. Probably was not the best way to do it, but it works. You just be careful because you got it. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just tilt the palm rest up like that, because then that way we can access the touchpad without having to completely undo this cable, which is a huge pain in the rear. So, there are 4 screws here. They are very narrow screws. Oh no, what? Does it come with, I don't know if you're, whatever. Alright, anyway, so there are 4 screws here. They're very narrow, and they're actually not the same screws as what is used in a T450, or a T450S. I actually saw someone who got one of these units. They replaced the touchpad with the T450 touchpad, and they put the screws from the T450 into the T440p. You do not want to do that because they are different screws, and then your touchpad will not be flush with the palm rest, which you want it to be. Because A, it's really annoying that it's not flush, and B, you can sometimes run into issues with the or the track point buttons rubbing up against the display, and then crap happens. These screws aren't even tight in here, so like they're loose, which is good. And then you just kind of, sometimes what I do is I take my fingernail and put it under the head of the screw, and it makes it easier for me to stably get it out when I'm dealing with a screwdriver that does not have magnetic abilities. And then we'll get the next one out. Sorry if I'm like obstructing the view either with my hand or with the edge of the desk. It's really hard to position the camera in a way that will... Okay. Every screw I take out, I pray that I don't drop it, because this floor would be impossible to find, and then I'd be very depressed. There's some background noise. This room is right by the lobby of my building, so anytime somebody comes in or out, I get to hear about it. Alright. Now we have to take the touchpad cable, kind of finagle it out of here. Now here's the actual touchpad. Here's the god-awful clunky. I'm gonna kind of peel up the ribbon cable, and we're gonna lift up on that black tab there, and then just take the cable off. And we're gonna carefully disconnect this, because there's adhesive tape holding it on. Goodbye, clunky. We don't like you. Now, we'll go to the T450S, and you have to keep the T440p touchpad, or cable, because the T450 cable is completely different, and thus will not work with the T440p, because these are completely different laptops. So, now we just get the same 4 screws, or, yeah, we just get our screwdriver, take out the same 4 screws, and then we will take out the touchpad. Maybe. Screw does not want to come out. There we go. Give it a little love tap. If all else fails and you can't get a screw out, just give it a little love tap. That screw up. That screw came out a lot easier. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Alright, so got those screws out. And then we just do the same thing here. We lift up on that tab, and then we pull the cable out. And then bada bing bada boom, genuine T450 touchpad. And then we put this off to the side. Now it's this, just while I have it put. So this appears to be a Synaptics touchpad, which is great because these are superior. And who just sent a big long text? They said there's a ThinkPad battery life comparison. Oh, I've been following the T490 came out. I think a part of me died inside when I saw the T490. I agreed. When the T490 came out, I was like, Lenovo, what are you doing? Like, Lenovo knows that people buy ThinkPads because they're not MacBooks. And then they strive to make their laptops more and more like MacBooks. Like, I don't mind the X1 Carbon having the ultra-portable design and having parts be soldered in and non-upgradable, non-replaceable, but the T400 series has never been that laptop, and it never should be that laptop. So, not really happy with what Lenovo did with that. And it looks like with the upcoming refresh, things are just going to get even worse. So, shame on you, Lenovo, for completely alienating your customers. Okay, so this is the other tricky part. Like, I could just disconnect this whole cable and it would make things a lot easier. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do that. We're just going to... Hello. Look at that. We got our first glimpse of what this will look like. I'm going to get this out of here. Get that side up. That side up. And we'll just... There we go. Cable's out. There. Now we just made life a lot easier. So you just pull up on the 2 sides of the connector for this cable and then it pops off. So, future party trick for you. So now, we're going to take our touchpad, we're going to put it in. This will be good because this will help me to be able to better fine-tune the what's it called? The positioning of the touchpad, because it's a very fine very fine connection here, and if we screw this in ever so tightly or ever so loosely, it won't fit right and it'll look yucky. So I just screw these in until the moment they start to snug, the moment they start to become tight, and then I call that good enough, because you don't want these screws to be in here too tightly. A, in case you ever need to get this apart and readjust it, and B, you don't want to strip these things. So start to feel it get snug, and that's good enough. Okay, another screw. I guess I did snap a snap when I took this off, but I didn't hear anything break, and I didn't see any plastic pieces go anywhere. So I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. Now, does that look nice to you or what? Nice and flush. Got our nice 3 buttons. So now what we have to do, we have to kind of angle this a certain way. Now, take our little plug here and we're going to plug it back in. Probably can't see that too well, but you just push it in until it stops going in, and then you push down 2 sides of the connector. Actually use a screwdriver to help you with that. Alright, now, oh, I almost forgot the most important part. Putting this back on. Whoops. Now, I should have done that before I put... I am a doofus sometimes. I just forget stuff. It's finals week. Can you really blame me? So, we're going to have to take this out. And this is the kind of mistakes you make on Livestream. So we have to take this out, because we forgot to put the ribbon cable back in. Touchpad kind of does not work without a ribbon cable. Whoopsies. So we get to take these screws out again. See why I said don't tighten the screws too tightly? Because you never know when you're going to have to take those screws back out when it's on Livestream and you realize that you forgot to put a cable back in. A cable that is necessary for the touchpad to work. Whoops. So. Oh, we almost lost that screw. It almost went flying. Okay. So, we get our ribbon cable. We take the side that conveniently says TP. Conveniently says TP. Not sure if you can see that. TP. Can't read it because my camera, but TP. Take that side and you plug it in to the touchpad. To do that, you just kind of slide it in there. Sometimes the blue plastic will help you. I'm going to have to do this off camera because I don't really want to risk breaking the touchpad just so you have a good view. Okay. So you get the touchpad in there. Make sure it's nice and secure, and then you lock the thing down. And then you put this adhesive tape back down. Take your palm rest, take the cable, and you stick it through that little slit right there. Right there. Now, I heard some people talking about rubber pads. It is a good idea when you do this mod to put some additional rubber pads on the display bezel, because the buttons for the track point can actually sit high enough, just ever so slightly high enough, that the what's it called? That the thing, the buttons can rub up against the display and cause damage. And we don't want that. So I actually forgot to get rubber pads for this video. That's my fault. I apologize, but yeah, if you're ever doing this mod, then make sure to get some rubber pads for the display so that you can have your cake and eat it too, and you can have this lovely touchpad and not run into the issue of scratching up your display. Sometimes it isn't even actually the buttons rubbing up against the display, it's just dust and oils that have accumulated on the buttons that rub up against the display. So sometimes I've noticed with various other laptops, if you get a microfiber cloth or something, you just rub down the display every once in a while to get all the dust and grime off. That keeps the dust from accumulating on the display, thus preventing the dust from being rubbed around and scratching the display. Because sometimes it isn't actually something rubbing up against the display and scratching it, it's dust that has accumulated that rubs up against the display and scratch it. That may or may not be the case with the T440p, don't quote me on that, but that has been the issue with some other laptops, where it's not actually something from the palm rest hitting the display, it is just dust that is accumulated and scratches the display up. So if I tell my friend to keep this thing nice and clean, he might not have that problem. Okay. Noticing that this side is a little bit, just ever so slightly higher than the other side. Okay, now they're even. That's good. Okay. Yeah, they're even now. Good. So we're going to put this palm rest... Oh, that could have been bad to forget. Gotta get the fingerprint reader. I paid an extra $20 for this specific T440p just because I have the fingerprint reader. Pop that back in. Put that down. Put that down. We good? We good. Okay. Now, before we slide the palm rest back into place, we want to get the ribbon cable from our touchpad. Slide it under the roll cage like that until you see it pop up on the other side. And then you want to line up the palm rest with the machine. I have to lift up on this just a little bit. And what we're going to do while we have this open, get that poor screw out of there. Or that screw that was causing us trouble? Yeah, I just got it out. I'm not sure if I'll get it back in. Let's look at this here. Let's see if we can... Because I almost forgot about that. So excited to get this stinking thing in. I see it. Alright, you look... Whoa, hello. This guy's excited. Alright, how can you see this? Okay. So if you look right here where this post is, do you see that, like, kind of bronze-looking post piece? That's the screw post. So when you screw the screw in, it goes in through there. Whoever was taking this apart, they actually put the antennas for the wireless card under that screw post. So when we screwed whoever screwed the screw in, they're actually screwing in the wireless card. And that's not good. So we're gonna, like, just move them up. Okay, we just moved them up. We moved them up just enough that they will no longer hit the screw post, which means when we screw the palm rest back in, it's not going to run into the screws, or it's not going to run into the cable. Look at that. 5-second fix for that minor problem. Hope it was minor. Watch us turn the machine on and have the wireless just not work. That'd be awkward. Hey, here's your laptop, but you're going to have to use a USB wireless card with it. So now we just get these two sides and we look exactly how this goes. You'd think I'd rehearse this or something before video, but just kind of just finagle it until it looks okay. Honestly. It's like, as long as it's flush along the top, like the back top here, as long as that's flush, then you did it right. If it's not flush, then you suck at electronics. Okay, the more I've had this apart, the more I've realized somebody was in here before me, and they didn't quite put it back together properly. But the machine, as far as I know, is functional, so unless I broke it, So I'm not going to be as mad to them about it. I mean, that's still kind of bad, kind of mean, but I'll just get this little connector in. Right? You want to play nice? You want to play nice? Just don't want to play nice. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, yeah. Let's go to the racetrack. Do you want to go to the racetrack? Does not want to go to the racetrack. There we go. There we go. Stay. Gonna stay? Gonna be a good? Gonna be a good boy? Good. Okay. Now where's the rubber? Ah, it's on there. Okay. Just looking for the little rubber piece that kind of goes in. I'm just gonna kind of get the cable a little more, something like that. Go in there. Go in there. Okay. That's good enough. Okay. Now get the palmers back in, get the screws back in. So we have screw 1 that goes through there. Now we do not have a wireless card in the way. Screw 2 goes in there. Screw 3 goes over here. Screw 4 goes down here. Let's move this up a bit. Get it. Screw 5 goes over here. Screw 6 goes here, and then screw 7 goes right here. Okay. Well, I'm going to tighten these front ones first, because these ones seem like they're more likely to give up on me and fall out and commit suicide. And we don't want screws to commit suicide onto this lovely patterned floor where it would be very difficult to find them. A little too high there. So we just screw these in, we tighten them until they no longer tighten. Give them a little bit of play, just in case. Come on, look. We're also going to find out if regular DDR RAM works in the T440p. It does not work in the T440 or T440S because they use ultrabook processors, but this T440p has standard non-L DDR3 RAM in it. So, in theory, it will work. Because the RAM I have is not DDR3L RAM. And if I do not have DDR3L RAM, that would be awkward. But the RAM that's in this other T440p is not DDR3L, it's standard DDR3. So, in theory, it will work with this machine. Okay, now we get the 4 smaller screws. 3 go in up here by where the battery would go to hold the top part of the palm rest in. I keep reaching up there for the thing, but it's not there. I have another, there we go. Let that thing go here. Boop. Goodbye. See, I keep reaching up there, like I want to reach up there for this stupid, you know. Okay, and then that goes in there. Alright. And this last screw. Oh! Uh-oh. Yeah, we nearly lost that one. It was on the run. And shit. I dropped it and I don't know where it went. Oh. Haha, I caught him. He really wanted to get away that time, but he did not succeed. There we go. He's in. Make sure the short screw goes in here, because if you try putting the long screw in here, you're going to end up with a big hole in your palm rest, and that's not good. Let's just get this guy, and we'll slide him back in. Actually, before we do that, gotta get our fingerprint reader connector back into the motherboard. Almost forgot about that. It would have been awkward to plug that in and have it not work. Depressing. I really do hate these little connectors. They're so hard to get in. You like screw up one little thing and it's like, oh, they're broken, gotta get a new cable. Okay. Now we have to get our processor in there. So to get our processor, yeah, they do still sell T440p. They still sell batteries for the T430. So yeah, they still sell batteries for the T440p. All right, so we're gonna get our heatsink off. So 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now that comes off. Normally there would be a processor here. Normally, actually there still is a bunch of goo. So now we're gonna get our processor from our donor board. It's a Core i5-4300M. My friend, I was going to get him an i7 processor, but he was not really interested. He didn't want to spend the extra money for a quad-core i7, and honestly, for his workload, he's never going to need that kind of power. And if he ever does, then it's just one quick, easy upgrade away. So I'm not horribly concerned about that. For now, if he ever needs the upgrade, he knows where to find me. But normally, you would get your, if you were upgrading the processor, you would loosen the screws for your heatsink, and you would take it off. And then there's your processor. And then older ThinkPads just had a flat tip screwdriver, but Lenovo tried to be fancy with the T440p, and they put a star-shaped screw. So this is why I'm using this crazy bit thing. Reach in here, and we're gonna get. No, it's too small. There's bigger ones. I think this will work. Actually, this might be a little bit. It's just a smidgen too big. Like, ever so slightly too big. I have to get one of these, like, kind of starry shapes bits. Ah, there we go. There we go. We found one. I just dropped something. I hope that wasn't important. So we just get this, we pop it in, and we just do that. Processor comes out. I'm just going to plop it over into here. Interestingly, this has a black plastic socket. This has a white plastic socket. That is interesting. Very interesting. But now we have a processor in. And now, okay, the thing I dropped was just a receipt, so it was not important. Now we get our motherboard out of the way. And get my paper towels. Paper towels aren't always the best thing to use. Sometimes you want to use something like a coffee filter or whatever. Usually get a little bit of rubbing alcohol on these and then just wipe it off. Wipe it nice and clean. The most important part to get clean is the die itself. That's the shiny surface. I don't think it's a bad thing to have, like, I mean, you would ideally want to get all of the gunk off, but, like, if there's still a little bit left, like, on the sides of the processor, I don't think it'll hurt, because the heat's coming off the die. The heat transfer is between the die and the heatsink. It's not between the black sides and the heatsink, so. But yeah, just want to get it as clean as possible, and then get your heatsink and get that nice and clean as well. Kind of doing things the quick and dirty way here on video. As long as you get this spotless, it's fine. As long as there's no alcohol residue or any other stuff. Looks nice and clean to me, I think. So then, we get our thermal paste, and I just got a ton of thermal paste on myself. That's my bad. And in theory, we get this off. preferably without ruining my... Ow. Okay. There we go. Sometimes you have to be careful because especially if you're using the same thermal paste multiple times. i5-3300M. The T440 and T440p use the 4300U. That's an ultrabook processor. This is the 4300M. It's a mobile processor. I see so many falsely listed listings that say that this has a 4300U. There is no T440p in existence that has a 4300U. Look them up. There's a huge difference. Never used Linux before. Is it really that good? It depends on your workload and what kind of person you are. I'm trying to get a little bit of paste on here. Sometimes when you... That's not what I wanted. Okay. Sometimes when you don't use the paste for a while, it kind of... The very edge of it will dry. And then when you go to use it, you just get a clump of it. And then you get it all over the place. And then you have to put more on. Actually, here's what we're going to do. So I kind of got a clump of dried thermal paste at the very edge of my tube. And so we got more on here than we wanted. So we are going to get this off. All of it. And we're going to do that again. We're going to apply it with less paste because that was not good. And yeah, Linux is okay. Linux is okay. I personally do not use it, except for when I'm doing things like BIOS patches and EDID flashes and stuff, and the occasional like BIOS like replacement or whatever. For my daily use, I still use Windows just because of program compatibility and my university, my major and stuff. Most of the stuff is revolved around Windows, so it's just much more convenient to use that instead. And it's what I'm used to. I'm not going to completely change my workflow just to learn how to use a new operating system. But for some people, it's a very good choice. In many ways, it is better than Windows. In other ways, I feel like it still has a long way to go, especially in software compatibility. This looks like more thermal paste than it actually is. There is not as much there. It's just some of it kind of spread itself out, so it looks like there's a lot. There really isn't. So before somebody comments that I use too much thermal paste, it's less than it looks like on camera. Trust me. So then we just get this. You heard me swear, oh no. There we go. There we go. Get that on there. And then we tighten the screws. So go uno. Dos. Dos, I said. Dos. Dos circular. There we go. Tres. Cuatro. I can't roll my R's. It makes it very difficult to do Spanish. I literally cannot roll my R's. I can't. It's just... I don't know. It's very irritating because I'd love to be able to, but I can't. A lot of the music I sing, I have to roll my R's, and it's like, oh, I can't. Sorry. I just flip the D instead, so instead of it actually kind of sounds like a rolled R. Is that in there? Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell if these are even plugged in or not. Okay. While we're in here, get our RAM in there. And sorry that I'm not really reading the comments. I just want to get this done because it's fucking... Oh no, he said the fuck word. Oh no. Hey, that's good. That means that I am not directed at kids, so COPPA can't come after me. See, that's all you have to do. If you don't want to get your channel taken down by COPPA, just say the fuck word in one of your videos. Yay! Okay, so we have the RAM in there. Wireless card, RAM, processor, storage. Actually, yeah. I'm gonna get my thermal paste off my hands. I actually conveniently have a water bottle with me. Water bottle, laptop. Just gonna push that away. And my laptop did not like that. Still see me? Still see me? Hello? Good? Okay. If the chat stops for some reason, just let me know. Here's what we're gonna do. Get my water bottle, paper towel, get just a little bit on here, wash my hands. Just get the thermal paste off, because we don't want to get thermal paste on the whole computer, because that's disgusting. Something about Wi-Fi card. Copy certainly makes things weird. You simultaneously have to avoid being too kid-friendly and being too vulgar. Well, if they don't want me to be kid-friendly, but like my videos are kid-friendly, then I will just turn into George Carlin, and I think that will be enough to tell YouTube that I am not aiming my content at childs. Hear that, YouTube? You hear that, YouTube content police? I am not directing any of my content at minors or children or whoever they think is watching my videos. Alright, got my thermal paste off. Good. Take a drink of water. 33 people watching. That is nice. Okay. While we have this apart, we're going to get our fancy schmancy SSD in here. Now, there is a method to the madness. I think you can just, yeah, just do that. Oh, it says pull to open. And I did not pull to open. Oopsies. Oh well. That works too. SSD. That is okay. Oh yes, I love George Carlin. I am sad that I'm a little bit too young to have experienced him. I mean, I was like, I think I was 8 or 9 years old when he died. So I really didn't get to like see him. My dad saw him once. He like came to Penn State once. That's where my dad went to school. And he came to Penn State. He did a show there. And I am still to this day jealous that my dad got to experience that. Now we are going to get the SSD into the caddy, I think, if it goes in. Sometimes they don't want to go in. There we go. And then you want to, when you put the caddy on, you want this thicker, deeper side to be on the bottom. See how the SSD has a little bit of extra space? Yeah, that would be for a thicker 9.5mm drive. This is a 7mm drive. So you just want this deeper part of the caddy on the bottom so that it stays nice and snug when you put it in. Now we're going to put this in. Slide that in. Uh-oh. Don't want to lose that screw. I remember this screw always being tricky. Come here, boy. I'm going to get my caddy, or not my caddy, my bit. There we go. See, having a extra bit on hand is always nice. I'm just going to tighten that. Okay. I'll flip this over. I'm not going to put the cover on quite yet because knowing my luck, I'll forget to do something. And I'll have to take this whole stinking thing apart again. Gotta get the keyboard in though, before we can... Actually, I guess you could turn it on without the keyboard, because the power button is a separate button, but now we're going to put the keyboard in, because I want to. So we get this, get a little... Of course, on camera, the thing doesn't want to work. Alright, we're gonna put ThinkPad off to the side for a second here. Put ThinkPad over here. Gonna put this right here. course. These things are such a... I'm so glad this is the thing Lenovo did do right with the newer ThinkPads. They got rid of this really stupid method of holding the keyboard in place, where you have to literally, like, yank it. It's... The way they did this was so weird. Like, okay, I got that side up. Okay. Now why won't this side go up? Is there a key stuck down or something? Like, this is so weird. Like, why won't it just go? I think I found out why. No, I didn't. Ugh. You guys see a key that's stuck? Because I don't. Oh, I know. It's got these things. Forgot about that. Oopsies. Gotta get the rubber things out, and they break most of the time when you try to get them. No wonder I was having such a hard time. See, I'm so glad Lenovo did away with this with the next couple models of ThinkPad. Like, I think it was the 440, the 450, and the 460 that had these, and then the 470 went back to the old way. And these rubber stoppers are there for a reason. They stop the... Like, if you spill water on this thing, it stops it from getting into the battery, which is good. But I think a better choice would have been to just not have the rubber stops there at all, because you could just not have a gap there. Like, as far as I know, there is no reason why. Like, they just get stuck and they break. Like, so then you have to buy new ones on eBay for $20 for a little tiny piece of rubber. Like, these serve no purpose. You could fill them in. It'd be a lot better. That was a bad design choice on Lenovo's part, because there's no reason why that has to be there the way keyboard is. All it does is it serves as a way for water to get to the battery, so they put a piece of rubber there. I don't know what Lenovo was thinking with the design of that, but see, now this thing comes up. I said now this thing comes. What's in the way now? There we go. Gosh, I'm gonna be censored because or YouTube said that we can't be too vulgar, so we're gonna say gosh darn it. That, you guys were okay. I'm gonna say gosh darn it, because that way we're not being too vulgar and YouTube doesn't demonetize my video, because we don't want them to do that. Yeah, I completely forgot these stupid things had rubber stoppers on them. Like, that just irritates me so much. I would just not put them back in, but they do actually serve a purpose in that they stop the or stop water from going into the battery if it leaks. Which it wouldn't need to be there if they didn't put holes there. Like, there's no reason. Like, I guess you could say it's to keep the bezel of the keyboard from going up, but it's so stupid. Like, Lenovo made some very stupid design choices with the T440 series of laptops. That's the only reason the T430 is in some ways a better machine. See, I broke the rubber. And this does not want to stay plugged in. Quick pull. I want a quick pull. A quick jump into a pull. Just kidding. What's the pull? So we're going to put this, the way we do this, gotta get our rubber off of here. Rubber piece. Remember how it went on? Like this. So you wanna, if you're not sure how to get the rubber piece on, you kind of just lay it on the ribbon cable and then you like kind of flip it over and see if it fits. If it fits, it ships. So just do that. I'm gonna get the smaller of the two ribbon cables in first, so we peel up. Got these stupid tables here. So we peel up on the tape and we lift up and we do that. Maybe? Yes? No? I think so. Okay. Yep, right. Get that in. Get in. Hello? I said get in. Stay in. Good. Now it's in. I'll get this. And we'll put that in. No, I hate these little connectors. They're the worst things. And then we just get our rubber in. Make sure it's like pushed in all the way around. And then we get this little guy going from there. Did I forget to take out the rubber pieces on this side too? No, because they don't have them on these models, because this machine is a little bit better designed. T440p is the strongest of these, and I was like, I don't know, it feels like there's something like keeping it from going down, maybe? Did I forget about something? No, it's going, there's nothing in the way, it's just being mean. The laptop is being mean, it does not want to accept its new companion. See how it's like, that's weird. Why doesn't it want to... T440p or T430? I prefer the T430. Okay, I prefer the T430 for design, but I prefer the T440p for power and upgradability. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. So the T440p has easier upgradability. It's easier to get to the processor and upgrade it. It's easier to get to most of the parts to upgrade. The what's it called? The T430 has a bit more upgradability in the sense that you can add an external graphics card to it, which you cannot do on the T440p, because the T440p does not have an express card slot, and it does not have a Thunderbolt slot, so you can't do that, and it's kind of sad. And I don't get why this won't go in. Like, there's no reason that it won't. Like, it just does not want to... Like, it seems like there's something in the middle here that's, like, pushing on it. I'm going to try tightening the screws and see if that issue goes away. And if not, I'm going to be, like, worried. So, you'll see what I mean here in a minute. So I'm going to tighten these screws. Okay. Looks better. There we go. Looks like that looks fine, but it almost looks like it's bulging a bit, like here in the center. And I'm not sure why that's the case. Like, is there... See, that's what I'm worried about. Like something appears to be bulging there. But, like, the cables are all lining up and stuff, so I don't know. That's weird. You guys have any ideas? New touchpad looking fresh. The screws on the keyboard itself get jammed, and that's what's blocking right now. No, all the screws are in for the keyboard. That's not the problem. There's something else here that... maybe? See, right here, there's a bulge. This is not near any of the screws. That's what I don't get. Okay, now the keyboard seems to... Slide the clips on the front. There's a screw bent and it's making it bulge. Where would the screw be? Did someone see a screw? So some people think it might be a screw, but all of the screws are inserted fine. Like they all went in and they tightened fine. It's just something right around here. And then someone said it might just be the palm rest getting in the way, which does happen. True. That's weird. Okay, that went in. It's just this one piece. This one guy is being irritating, and he doesn't want to go in. Why don't you want to go in? That's the question. I'm afraid to take the spacebar off because I feel like I'm going to break it. Someone said try to pry up the palm rest a bit. Okay, now... Yeah, I'm really glad Lenovo eventually did away with this design because this is so irritating. Because, like, I did nothing wrong taking it out. It's not like I damaged it or something. Alright. That seems to have done the trick. Thank you, guys! You helped? Yeah! He's scratching a T440p with a metal screwdriver. You see any scratches? You see any scratches? You see any scratches? No. But yeah, it is possible that maybe someone damaged that, but I was able to get it in. Physically, keyboard is working. We will find out if it still works electrically. Let's plug this in. Let's put the battery in. We're not done yet. We still have to put the display in. But let's play a game called Does This Hold a Charge? I don't know if this battery has any charge. No, it does not. Okay. Well, that's why I have another power adapter here. Because I've got this other T440p. Smoke test! Oh, we got 3 green lights. Good start. Okay, we got light. Hey, we got a Lenovo. Yay. Okay, so that works. And at least 2 of the keys work. Let's see if I can get into the BIOS. I think that's F1. Yeah, that is. Okay. Okay. 8 gigs of RAM. Oh, this is an i5-4200M. Okay. Well, that's not too much different from the 4300M. It's like a smidgen slower. But again, my friend is never going to need that much speed, so that is fine. And it does have the time correct. That's good. I think there's a diagnostic thing. We didn't really change any settings. I think there's a diagnostic, not that, blah blah blah, diagnostic program, so I can like test the keyboard out. boot menu. And then Lenovo Diagnostics. Okay, Y works. Hey. Yeah, when you replace the processor, it like, actually tells you. Yeah, whatever. I'll just wait until we start installing Windows to see if the keyboard works at this point. I just want to get this done. Okay, so we're going to replace the display now. And in theory, let's try to find the display. Up, up. Never mind. Don't need. Well, we will put the bottom cover back on because we don't need to take the bottom off anymore. So, everything's in here. I didn't forget anything, right? Yeah. The whole magic of the T440 is putting a climate. I talked about this. My friend does not want to spend the extra money for a quad-core processor. Quad-core processors, even for a machine this old, they're not cheap. They're like, at the very least, $50 or $60. And my friend's working on a tight budget, so he doesn't want to spend that extra $50 or $60. I offered a quad-core upgrade to him. He did not want it. And again, the workloads that he will be using this machine for will not really require a quad-core for a very long time. The most intensive thing he does is make PowerPoints, and quad-core is going to be nice, but like that's not really going to help him there. So, again, it's my friend's laptop. Well, it will be. It's not his. So, I know, but I can't do the waiting game. He wants this laptop tomorrow. I bought him the parts that he wanted, put it all together for him. That's what we're doing. If this were my T440p, I would be putting a quad core in it. But it is not my T440p, it is his T440p. So he's going to do what he wants to do with it. I'm just putting it together. Now normally you would not want to like put your fingers up against the screen and risk scratching it, but since this is the old display that I care nothing about, we're just going to do that. And that's easy enough. Nothing broke, so we good. And you want to make sure to keep the... Okay. Yeah, make sure this is not connected to power, and make sure the battery is taken out, or else you do run the risk of blowing the display fuse, backlight fuse, and you don't want to do that, because then you don't have a backlight, and then it's very difficult to use the laptop. And that's not good. So we're going to take, there's 4 screws, 2 on each side. Again, normally I would not grab the display bezel in that way. You'd want to try and find a slightly different way to get the bezel off, but since this is the old crappy TN display, I don't care at all about it. And it's still good, like I didn't scratch it, I just rubbed my fingers against it. This would be very good for another laptop. Like, if I found a very cheap T440p that has a broken screen or something, just put this screen in it and flip it. Don't do what I did and point the screwdriver right at the screen because you risk stabbing it, and you don't want to stab your screen, but yes, do as I say, not as I do. Just like my parents told me for a very long time. And I did not do what they said, and now I fix laptops. Okay, so then this kind of comes off. Looks like the display may have been replaced. Never mind. Forget what I just said. Display does not appear to have been replaced. So that just comes off. Bye-bye, old display. Throw it across the room. Just kidding. It's not going to be thrown across the room. Just going to put it over here on top of some bubble wrap. And we are going to get our new display. Our new display was sent to us by some dude on eBay. Just kidding. It's just a random display. There are specific displays that you would want to get for this model, but pretty much as long as it is a 14-inch display with a 16:9 aspect ratio with a 30-pin EDP connector, it should work. Like, the T440p does not have any sort of display whitelist, so you don't really have to worry about the risk of the display not working, as long as it meets the basic requirements. So 30-pin EDP connector, 14.1 inch. That's pretty much the only thing it cares about. Okay. Then you put make sure the cable is in the same place you found it. If it's not in the same place you found it, then the bezel won't go on correctly, and then you're going to hate yourself. Okay, and I'm going to tighten the screws because I'm pretty confident this will work. Pretty confident. Normally I like to test it first just to make sure that it, works, but I want to get the screws in because I want to. Also, the hinge on this side likes to come out and play, so we have to keep it controlled a little bit. It's only the hinge on this side, not the hinge on the other side. Actually, hold on a second. Just gonna leave that in there. It's not tightened yet because I want to get this annoying top hinge back in. Yeah, there we go. Because I'm tired of this thing bouncing out. The hinge on this side is very eager to pop out. That's annoying. I don't want it to. And as you do this, there's this actual hole that the screw goes into, and then there's another hole to the side that goes into like a plastic post. And you want to make sure the other hole is in the plastic post. Otherwise you'll have trouble, and you don't want trouble, my friends. Like right now. Okay. Now, we get battery. We put the battery back in. Actually, we should probably get the power adapter in because the battery doesn't have a charge. Unplug it from here. Plug it in here. Power on. Ta-da, we have display. It looks nice. That's all that matters. Did I lose you guys? Yay. Okay. So, we have display in. Oh, for God's sake. Yes, I want to connect my computer. Okay. Battery out, and for some reason, I guess that USB port's a little loose. I don't know. Don't care. Get our thing all lined up. Like that. Get our thing a little bit off so that it's not in the way. Yay. Got that. Smells fresh. It smells like factory workers in China. That is where this was made. I actually know some people who buy Apple products because they say designed by Apple in California, and they think that means that they are made in California. They are not. Sorry. They're made at some factory in China. Actually, I think some of their products are made in India. And they did open a new plant in the United States for the Mac Pros, but that's not... Like, most of their products are still made in China. And it will probably stay that way for quite some time. Alright, and we have a ThinkPad T440p. And for some reason, despite being plugged in for quite some time, my USB connector is just being a pain. It's being a royal pain. Let's try it on the other side. Maybe the other side will work better. Alright. Sammy, I'll take an Apple computer over my garbage computer. A piece of it literally chipped off before I gave a speech today. You do not want an Apple computer. They're junk. Especially the ones with the butterfly keyboards. I give Apple credit for going back to the scissor switch keyboard with the new 16-inch MacBook Pro. However, their laptops are still incredible junk. Okay, so all the bezels are in there, right? So let's get Windows installed on this puppy. So now, let's also get these screws out of the way, because we don't need them anymore, and we don't want the mirror. I just dropped a screw, but it's one that we don't need, and I probably will never need again, so I am not going to lament the loss of that one screw. If I find it, I will find it. If I don't find it, I will not find it. That's okay. It's for the T450S anyway. So we've basically just turned our T440p into a T450p, or really a T441. So when Lenovo released the ThinkPad T450, there really wasn't a viable alternative to Intel's mobile processors because they had done away with those altogether. They didn't make a socketed Broadwell mobile processor. They only had the soldered Ultrabook processors. So Lenovo decided to continue selling the W540 and call it the W541. It's literally the same thing, except it has a new touchpad with track point buttons. They didn't do the same for the T440p. That's why this is a very common mod to do to the T440p. So you could call this a T441 now. And then Lenovo did eventually release a T460p, which was a more beefed up version of this. Or I'm sorry, a more beefed up version of the T460. But unlike the T440p, it does not have upgradable processors, it doesn't have an optical drive, it's pretty limited. So, alright, now that we have our power adapter plugged in, we have our SSD in there, we've got Windows 10, and we're going to install it. And there's a Windows product key already included in here, so this will be, it will automatically activate whenever I install Windows. Whoa, it even did scaling for us. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I don't really know what kind of display this is. I didn't even look at the display. I like what model number it was. I just plugged it in, and it's obviously an IPS display. It's obviously 1080p. That's all I care about. And the fact that we have this clunker out of here, and this nice but not backlit keyboard, which is in good condition. Yeah, I'm in UEFI mode. And I think for my friend, that's probably the way we'll keep it, because like I said, he is not a computer person. He just wants a very good computer to replace his literally broken HP. So we're just going to install Windows for him. I also have one of these things. English. Hablo Inglés. It's a microfiber cloth. I'm just gonna wipe this down real quickly, really lightly. Can't wait to give this to him tomorrow. Literally, his laptop is a piece of junk. Like, it is so bad. Don't have a product key, so it will activate itself later. Windows 10 Pro. And I'm not quite done, because after we install Windows, we have to get the T440p touchpad drivers installed. And we have to disable driver updates so that Windows or Lenovo Vantage does not try to update the drivers, because for the touchpad, we don't want them to update. Yeah, you can really blame Intel for the whole Ultrabook thing. Yeah, ThinkPad's getting rid of soldered processors, I would not blame Lenovo for that. Because after the Haswell generation, Intel did away with socketed laptop processors entirely. So if you have a laptop nowadays with an Intel processor, the only way you can have a socketed Intel processor in your laptop is to either make a custom interface from a soldered Ultrabook processor to a socket, which I don't think any company would do, and do it that way, which no company has done. However, Dell did something similar with the Alienware M51 or whatever. It's the new Alienware that has an upgradable processor and upgradable graphics card. For the graphics card, they made a custom socket for it that they put the graphics card on, so you could theoretically update it in the future. They could do that, or they could just use a desktop processor, which is what that aforementioned Alienware does. It just uses a desktop processor. And I'm sure they could make a laptop in this form factor, like this thickness nowadays with a desktop processor. I'm sure it could be done, but no company has really done that. Like Lenovo certainly hasn't. And there wasn't enough pushback from manufacturers such as Lenovo or Dell or HP. There wasn't enough pushback from those manufacturers to say, oh shoot, we should keep socketed processors. That no one really pushed back against it. So after Haswell, Intel completely did away with socketed laptop processors. And so that's why we had a W541, which still used Haswell processors, instead of a W550. We did get a W550S because that's just a Ultrabook laptop, so it had standard Broadwell Ultrabook processors. So instead of making a T540p, they just continued, or instead of making a T450p, they just continued selling the T440p for an additional year until the T460p came out and they had figured out how to make a soldered, powerful processor. Now that we have a little bit of time to kill while this is installing Windows, I'll look at some of your comments and chat stuff. It's because everyone wants MacBook S device now. Yeah, you're right. However, Microsoft has made a good step with the Surface Book 3 by making it, or the Surface Laptop 3, by making it partially repairable, more so than previous Surfaces. You can upgrade the GPU with only one upgrade path, whatever they choose. I do think that's better than nothing, though. It's better than having a graphics card that is completely soldered on. What the HP is, I don't know, but right now he's asleep, so I'm not going to ask him because it's 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, you're right. The T440p will be the last fully upgradable ThinkPad, and that is kind of sad. Moore's Law, puppy screw, university, promotion, university, what? $600. Oh, Dell Inspiron, okay. Last good MacBook was 2012. I agree. Last fully upgradable MacBook Pro was 2012. Yeah, I remember reading about the Apple suicide nets because people were jumping off the building. I remember seeing a video about that. Nothing like that fresh electronic smell. Oh my god, I missed a lot of comments. Oh, the arrow key stuff. T440p is thick AF compared to a MacBook Pro, but T440p is awesome AF compared to a MacBook Pro because you can actually repair it when something goes wrong. Now we don't need the thing. T440p keyboard is a dream, I agree. Classic keyboard is better, I do agree. But yeah, you're right, eventually it's going to get to the point that those older machines are too obsolete. And I already think for most people, like, you can get away with using a T60 if your demands are not that high. Like, if you're just doing some basic web browsing, you can max out a T60 and have a good machine. The problem, and I'm going to talk about this in an upcoming video, I'm working on an upcoming video about what are the best ThinkPads to get right now on the used market, like the best value ThinkPads, not the best overall, just best value. And I love older ThinkPads like the T60, T61, T400, but to me they're like old Toyotas and old Hondas, like old Civics, old Corollas from the 90s and stuff. Like, they're very good machines, and you can get them for very cheap. But, like, with older cars, you have to start putting more and more money into them, and they're just not worth it anymore. And with older ThinkPads like the T60, if you want it to be usable nowadays, you basically have to max it out. And that starts to cost more than the laptop is worth. So, right now, spoiler alert, I think the best value ThinkPads right now are the T420, T430, and T440p. Because you can get them all for very cheap on the used market, and there's so many upgrades and so many parts for them available that I think they're great machines. But I am going to make a more extensive video on that, especially with the holiday season and people looking for a good laptop that they can get for a cheap price for themselves, for their spouse, for a kid, whatever. I don't see any dead pixels, so that's good. On the black screen there, I don't see any dead pixels. Yeah, T440p keyboard, it's not bad, and in some ways it actually is an upgrade from the T430 keyboard because they split up the function keys into sections. On the T430 keyboard, they're all together, and so if you're trying to feel for F5, on this keyboard you feel the space between F4 and F5, so you know which one is F4 and which one is F5. But on the T430 keyboard, they're all bunched together, so you can't really tell the difference unless you have very good memory. I don't know what the Sony MH55 is. Let's get started. I should have written a secret message. Don't need another keyboard layout. We're not going to connect to a network right now because I actually have to connect to our university's network, and that is a pain. You can't really do it until you're logged into Windows. You can't do it from setup. Who's going to use this PC? The guy's name is Brendan. So, I think I spelled it right. I hope I spelled it right. That'd be very awkward if I spelled his name wrong. I'm just going to call it Brendan. Because there's like 50 different ways to spell Brendan, so we don't want to do activity history. We don't want to do digital assistant. And then I'm just going to turn all these off. Are you going to add rubber nubs to prevent the trackpad from scratching the screen? I said this very early in the stream. I kind of forgot to get those, but I will add some to this after I finish the live stream so that it doesn't scratch the screen. And I also had a bit of a talk about this. I don't know if the nubs are actually hitting the screen. What it could actually be is dust and oils accumulating on here, and then the dust gets onto the screen, and then the dust scratches the screen. That's what I think it is. And on a different laptop I had, like every day or every couple of days, I would just take a microfiber cloth and wipe off the screen, wipe off the touchpad and keyboard and all that, do that, and then I never had any scratches on it. So that might be the case here. It might not. And I agree, the clearance seems fine. So you can do that if you want to be really safe, or if this is going to spend a lot of time in a book bag where the screen is kind of pushed in and gets pushed up further against this, you might want to do that, but like, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, and a lot of people never really seem to notice or care. Modern X series ThinkPads. Ever since the X280, they've been a joke. Yeah, you know all the nuances of these machines. Well, this is the 5th T440p that I have sold to a personal friend. And I've worked on many more than that, but like just in terms of my friend group, I've sold 5 of these to them. So yeah, I've worked on a lot of these. And I would say I've definitely worked on over 100 of these different ThinkPads, dating all the way back to the T41 and going all the way up to the T450. Okay, so we have to connect to the internet. And at my university, we have to actually install a proprietary piece of software on the computer just to connect. And we also have to log into our student account. So I may have to tilt the camera away because I have to actually log in. Yeah, so it brings up the page. So yeah, now I have to put in my username and password. So we don't need you to see that. This is a very nice computer. I think he is going to like it. Some of you might be familiar with the software. It's called Bradford Persistent Agent. It's like this really archaic software that they use. And basically what it does, before it lets you go on the network, it checks to make sure your virus definitions are up to date. If they are, you can connect to the network. If they are not up to date, it will not let you connect to the network. But it leaves a hole in the firewall so that you can download the necessary updates. And it's very irritating because sometimes I have an assignment I have to turn in. Like it's due at midnight and it's 11:50 and I can't connect to the network because failed to meet policy requirements. Your PC will be moved to the quarantine network. So now what I have to do, it's being reconfigured and everything, blah, 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 blah. And then I think yeah, so it says my access is restricted. So really the only thing I can do is I can go to Windows Security. And I should be able to go to here and install updates. So I go to Virus and Threat Protection, check for updates, and we're going to do that. And this install disk is from January, so it's very out of date. It's going to take a couple seconds here. So maybe now I'll go through and read a few more of your things. I am the virus and threat, I agree. Funny story though, this is like one of the instances of Linux being better than Windows. When I installed Linux on the machine, it still made me put in my username and password, but then it didn't check for any virus definitions, even though the Linux boot drive was like a year old. So I guess if you're using Linux, then yeah. What's a good price to pay for a W540? Honestly, I've never worked on one, so I don't know. Is the T490 worth buying? Unless you get it for substantially cheaper than a T480, try to get a T480, because the T480 just has a lot more upgradability. It still has a user-removable battery. It still has a standard 2.5-inch hard drive bay. It still has an SD card reader, a full-sized one. It's just a better machine, and you can give most of the same upgrades as the T490. The processors in the T490 are not that much faster. You'll never notice the difference. And with the T480, you can go up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. T490 is limited to, I think, 48 gigabytes of RAM. And so, yeah. So now our virus definitions are up to date. So now we go to our website here. It says I'm in the remediation network, or the restricted network. But then I rescan, and up, remediation successful. Please wait while your connection is established. So now, it's reconfiguring our network connection, and that lets us reconnect. 48 gigabytes of RAM is literally 40 more gigabytes than I have. We think that now, we think, wow, 48 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes, that is so excessive. But when people bought the T61, they probably thought, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 8 gigabytes of RAM, that's really excessive. And now, that's like barely enough to run anything modern. Okay, so we're gonna check for some regular updates. So check for updates. Check for updates. I like to let it install all of the drivers and stuff now, so I don't like try to install the trackpoint driver and then have it screw with some other update. So now I'll have some more time to answer questions because this is going to take a little bit of time. I usually wait till after all of this has installed to install Lenovo Vantage. I really don't like the redesign of Lenovo Vantage. It looks terrible, and it's very clunky to navigate. It used to be very straightforward, and now it's just like, what? What am I doing? It's so confusing. Water. Good stuff. This video was not sponsored by whoever made this. Some people think my videos are sponsored or that people pay me to do videos and stuff. And it's like, no. Like, I do videos about ThinkPads because I love these laptops. They're fantastic machines. And if I'm using a product in a video, it's not because someone paid me to use it. It's because I like using it or I paid to use it myself. If I ever did a sponsorship, or if like Lenovo sent me a T490, then I would make sure to explicitly say, they sent me this. They paid me to do this video. And if I did do something like that, I would do it on my own terms. I would say I will only do this if I can say whatever I want about it, and I can have an in-depth look at it. I'm not going to be the person that just openly accepts free stuff from companies on the condition that I say nice things about them. And that's part of the reason why I still have not gotten any requests to do sponsorships or have stuff sent to me. I get those Chinese scammers from Amazon that want me to make a video and write a fake review for them. But I haven't gotten any... Oh, I found the screw. Cool. I found that lost screw. I haven't had any legit offers from companies asking me to do, like, reviews for them and stuff because, well, first of all, my channel isn't big enough, and second of all, I don't think they want me to be brutally honest about their products. But yeah, now we have what is almost a brand new T440p with a T450S touchpad and a backlit keyboard, 1080p IPS display. Like, this thing looks almost immaculate. This is going to last my friend a very long time, especially with the fresh thermal paste on the processor. That he should never have to touch. And if he does, by the time he would need to, he'll be out of college. And he'll probably have a much higher paying job than what any of us have. Whew. This is a lot of stuff. So now I'm gonna read some of your stuff. MTV wants to sponsor me or something like that. I'm definitely you're freaking Sammy Classic Sonic fan. You should definitely take it. Like, that would be awesome. Like, that's a huge deal. MTV's sponsoring Ozzy Films because he made the Big Chungus videos, and that's really cool. I hate ThinkPads, so I designed one of my own. Seppi's Unboxed Therapy. I have an E540. Can I upgrade its 15-inch display? I've never worked on the E-Series because they're junk. I'm sorry, but E-Series ThinkPads are basically glorified Acers. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I'm sure you could upgrade it. If it uses the right cable and it's the right size, I'm sure it would work. USB-C is nice. Kind of. So USB-C is nice because it's bringing us closer to one universal cable that works with everything. You see it on phones, you see it on tablets, you see it on laptops. It's a nice connector, and with Thunderbolt 3, there's a lot you can do with it. But what I don't like is how companies like Lenovo have been replacing their docking connectors, which used to be, like on these older machines, this dedicated hardware connector. that controls everything. They're replacing it with a software-controlled USB Type-C dock. Like the T480 going forwards, they use a USB Type-C docking connector. And there's driver issues with that, and the USB controller can fail, and there's all this other stuff. And with the... I'll just show you the motherboard. With having this connection that goes right to the motherboard and controlled by the hardware and not the software, that's like one less thing that can fail. It's one more thing that can fail, but it's one less thing that can fail. And I've seen a lot of people that like get the T480 and people rave about it because it's like the last good ThinkPad. But then they have issues because the USB dock doesn't work, or like the USB Type-C dock does not work as well as the what's it called? The what's it called? This dock. You know what I mean. So, like, USB Type-C is an amazing connection, especially when you have Thunderbolt 3, but I don't like how business laptops like ThinkPads and ProBooks and EliteBooks are replacing the physical dock connector with a USB Type-C dock. And even though my phone is plugged in and charging, it's still losing power as we stream here, and so we're down to 2%. It said 2%, now it says 14%. What? Now it says 2% again. Okay, if this live stream randomly stops, it's because my phone died. So I apologize in advance for that. I'll try to keep reading a few more of the comments until this dies. Retry. I was going to redo some of these, and then it's going to restart. T440p, I think, would be better as a daily driver, just because it's newer and everything. But they're both really good laptops. They're both good in different ways. T440p is more modern. The onboard graphics are a lot better. There's more quad-core i7 options for it. But T430 has overall better design, and you can upgrade the graphics through an external solution much easier. You're drinking vodka? Oh, come on, man. Like, why? MacBook was my main machine. Did not realize how limiting the I/O was until I got T440p. That's very true. At this point, I'm just going to read through comments until the battery dies on my phone, because it's plugged in. It says it's charging, but the battery is still draining. Are you a Penn State student? Also, thoughts on using Windows 10 on ThinkPad? The X20 generation does take... I've run Windows 10 on ThinkPads as old as the T60, and it works fine. Sometimes you have to hunt around for drivers, but I've never had an issue with it. And anything T430 and newer, it's guaranteed to work on. And I was a Penn State student, but to make a very long story short, they completely screwed me over on my credits, so I transferred somewhere else. It's a very long story, and Penn State I still think is a very, very good school. I don't want to trash them. They're a very good school. But depending on where you're coming from, if you transfer in from somewhere, or if you have credits from high school, they might screw you over and not take your credits or not apply the credits to your major. And so, like, I would have had to do 2 extra years for my major just because of how they handled my credits that I had. And to me, that wasn't worth it. And plus, they don't give you any money. Any school besides University of Pittsburgh and Penn State, they will give you lots of money. Those 2 schools, University of Pittsburgh and Penn State, they are similar opposites. You either go to Pitt or you go to Penn State. Both don't give you a lot of money. Both are very specific about credits, and both have a strong fan base. Bloody university administrators, I agree. Flavored water is delicious. An extreme i7 T440p, do the liquid metal thing, that would be interesting. Nothing's wrong with vodka. I just think, I just find it amusing that you're drinking vodka while you watch my live stream. And I agree with Tristan about the T440p. And low battery. Yeah. On my phone, I'm using my phone as a stream, as for the live stream, because it has the camera and connect to YouTube and everything. And I've had it plugged in and charging the entire time, and it has still drained the battery. So I guess live streaming just uses more juice than what the power cable can provide, which is irritating. But yeah, so we're at 1% now. So this stream is going to end momentarily. As soon as the battery dies, it's over. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, oh. Okay, we're still there. I thought it was going to go. But yeah, so you can ask another question, but I can't guarantee that it'll answer. I'm going to stop the live stream right now, and I think we'll pick it up in a few minutes. I'm going to try and charge up the phone, or I will dim the screen. That is a good idea. It's already dim pretty far, and I have low power mode on too. So if the stream just died, just want to say, love your content, keep it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that people watch this. But yeah, the screen was already pretty close to dim all the way, but now it is completely dim. I'm also turning the speaker all the way down. And I'm gonna turn Bluetooth off. Bluetooth. Not connected. No, I want it off. Darn it. I could turn off cellular data. I'm gonna turn off AirDrop. That might help. Possibly. No clue. If the stream dies, I'm throwing the bottle of vodka against the wall. I'll stop in for future streams. This was fun. Thank you. Thank you, Sammy. I'm about to upgrade the screen of my ThinkPad, so I'm grateful for the tutorial. Yeah, this was a very in-depth tutorial. It was a lot more in-depth than my previous videos, because I've done like a bajillion videos on this machine, because I've just worked on so many. But since this was completely unedited, I think that was a very good tutorial, because I literally showed everything. How's my battery doing? Wi-Fi on my T440p seems to drop quite a bit lately. Do I need to replace the card? I would try reinstalling the drivers first and see if that helps. See if you can update the drivers. I would also try connecting to a different network and see if that fixes anything, and see if you can try running things over Ethernet, see if that helps. And if Ethernet works and other networks work, then it might just be an issue with your network. If the issue persists on other networks, then it might be the wireless card. The T440p, it doesn't take external graphics cards very easily. It does not have a Thunderbolt port, and it does not have an express card slot. So that makes it very difficult to run an external graphics card with this. You can, if you like completely take it apart and like sacrifice your wireless card slot, you can get a mini PCIe to PCI Express adapter. But then you have to have a hole in the bottom of your laptop, and you have to run a cable out of it, and you sacrifice your Wi-Fi. I don't know if it'll work through the M.2 slot that the SSD uses, but yeah, it's just a lot more difficult than with other ThinkPads that either have the Thunderbolt port or they have an express card slot. Is Sammy the Sonic fan? Yes, it is. Believe it or not. You can check out his Instagram. Sammy, if you're still here, send your Instagram username. And if not, then it's something. When I had 720p screen, I was getting 68 hours, but now with 1080p, that you get 3 to 4 hours. That makes sense, because it's a higher resolution panel. The laptop and the graphics have to drive more pixels, so it uses more power. So you lose a little bit of battery life by going with a 1080p display over a 720p display. But the difference in picture quality to me is much, much worth it. It's very much worth it. And we are still at 1%. I'm amazed that this has not died. Maybe it's also possible that the battery counter is mistakenly going down, even though it is getting a charge. So, X230 13.3-inch display mod. I do not understand the obsession with thin bezels. Like, I get why people like it, but to me it doesn't make that much sense. Like, to me it messes with the symmetry of the laptop compared to the keyboard. Like, If you have the keyboard going right up to the edge, it makes sense to have the screen go right up to the edge. But here, the keyboard goes out to here. Screen, it doesn't make sense for it to go all the way out there. I don't understand the obsession. Like, if these bezels were like 3 times as thick, I'd understand. But they look good. This looks good. And to me, laptop is form over function over form. And these people that are obsessed with bezels are mostly form over function. The other reason I don't like thin bezels, particularly on the top edge, is what if you drop the laptop? You have a much higher likelihood of breaking the screen because without a thicker bezel, you have a higher likelihood of the actual screen getting hit. With a bezel, you have a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of crumple room, that if you drop the laptop a certain way, it won't hit the screen. And with these laptops that are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, there's less room to spare if you hit this against something. So I see why people do the 13.3-inch mod, but the way I see it, you're not gaining any resolution because there's the full HD mod for the X230 that uses a 12-inch 1080p panel, and most of the 13.3-inch mods I see also use a 1080p panel, so you're not getting any additional resolution. And now you have taken away some of the protection that the bezel and the housing for the display provides by making it thinner. When you make something thinner, it's not going to be as strong if it's the same material. So I understand why some people like that stuff, but I don't, to me it's not worth it. It messes with the symmetry of the laptop, and it also takes away some of the protection that you get by having the bezel there. That's why a bezel is there to begin with. That's why you don't just have a bare screen. So that's what I think. Some people might think differently. What time is it for me? This is still set to Pacific time, but it's actually like 4 o'clock a.m. Let's see if I'm going to change the time. Because right now it's set to Pacific time zone. We want to set it to, Eastern time zone. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock a.m. That sounds pretty late, but it's finals week. I was going to be up this late anyways, and I have to get this laptop done for my friend, for this day. Because he's finishing his last final, and then he's going home. And I won't see him for a month and a half, because we have a long break. Why are you awake? Finals week. Yes, finals week. In the future, do you still see yourself using ThinkPads like the T480 and T490? I will use a T480. I would love to get one if I can get one for a good price. I do not see myself using the T490, because it takes a lot of the mistakes they made with the T440 and make them worse. Lenovo made a lot of design mistakes with the T440 and T440S. They undid those mistakes with the T450 and T450S, and now they're bringing back some of those mistakes, and they are making other changes that are, in my opinion, even worse. What the heck? Okay. X1 Carbon's a nice looking machine, and I think that's in its own league. The problem I have with Lenovo right now is they're trying to make all of their laptops like the X1 Carbon. There is a market for the X1 Carbon, and that market is there, and they like the X1 Carbon. They do not want every other ThinkPad to be like the X1 Carbon. And I liked for a while how Lenovo had options. If you wanted a stylish, thin and light laptop, you got the X1 Carbon. If you wanted something that was durable and upgradable and usable, but also on the thinner side and portable side, you had the T400 series, like the T460, T470, T480. And if you wanted a thick and heavy workstation, you have the P50 and P70 series. And now they're trying to blur those lines a bit, and it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. To me, the T490 is a huge downgrade from the T480. The P53 is a downgrade from the P52 in some ways. It has better graphics, it has better processors, but they got rid of the or maybe it was even the P52. They got rid of a user removable battery in favor of a built-in one, which I think even has a lower capacity. I'm not sure. One of them has a lower capacity battery, and it's not even any thinner, so it's not like they made it sealed in to make it thinner. They just did it because everyone else is doing it. Getting rid of the physical docking connector in favor of USB Type-C. Oh, are we back?